Hey guys, welcome back to Teens Journal Breaking Through. This is a segment where we share our story, our love for Christ, and our testimonies. So today we want to wish you guys a happy new year. I'm so excited for our first episode of the year because we have a very special guest today, which is my mom, Ingrid Paz, the founder of Breaking Through and Teens Journal. So today I want to introduce everybody to the founder. How are you, Mom?
Very good, thank you. You look so lovely, Mommy.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Ingrid Paz, and yes, I am the founder of Breaking Through, Restoring Families as well, and Teens Journal, and I am so excited for what God is going to do with Teens Journal this coming up year. So I'm very excited, Jocelyn, and I am so proud of the work that you have put into this program and everything that you're doing. I know you're talking to a lot of people that are interested in coming into the show. So I am very excited, very proud of the producers and everybody, all the support and the team that we receive here in Breaking Through. So, and I'm excited to be here.
Yes, we're happy to have you.
Yes.
So today we wanted to kind of share for the new year our like the reason why we created Teens Journal, and what best to do that than to bring the one and only Miss Ingrid Paz to the show to kind of give us an understanding on what Teens Journal is and what this ministry has for us and stuff.
So thank you so much, Jocelyn. Teens Journal is it has been in my heart for a long time. We started thinking about having a support group about, I would say, maybe 11 years ago. But that was just like the launch of Teens Journal, but it goes really back to my teenage years.
Yeah, because many might not know, but she did grow up in a conservative church and a conservative home. So tell us a little bit about the beginning, like when you were a teenager, growing up in that environment. How did you feel?
Well, I came to the United States when I was like 11 years old. My parents were already Christian, and we started going to this church, which I love very much. It was the place where I would say God found me. I was baptized with the Holy Spirit in that place, and everything was okay until I turned 13. That special age, right, where the teenage years, where you're a little confused, you don't know, you're going through your own changes hormonally and environment, and we were very stable when it came to living in one home. We used to move to different houses because of many reasons. So I was not very stable when it came to schools either, because I had to switch middle schools and high schools, and it was just a lot on my part. And even though I knew Christ, but when I went to school, I felt like I was a different person. I felt so free when I was in school, but I didn't feel free at home. I didn't feel free at church, even though I was part of the singing ministry. I was part of the children ministry, and I was very active inside of church. But inside of me, like the inner Ingrid, didn't felt like I was myself. Yes. So it was a tough time for me, and one of the things that I when I look back at those years is that yes, there were people that from time to time would encourage me in this church, but there was not a lot of mentoring. There was not a lot of support, and most of my friends in that church, some of them got pregnant, they ran away with boyfriends, they had kids when they were young, and it was just a lot going on. And
was it that the church wasn't like focused on the youth?
I think in their own way they were focused, and them being involved in like biblical stuff. It was all like,
so they would
let me
just
teach
shove
you
the Bible down your throat, basically.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. It might sound very tough, but probably that's what it was. It was about come to church, memorize your verses, memorize the stories, participate in the activities or whatever. But there was not anything on one-on-one. Mentoring, like let me help you out. I see that you're struggling. I see that things are happening within your family. There was nothing of that. So there was like a big disconnection when it came to that. It was mostly like, let's pretend that we're this perfect family, that we come to church and that everything is going okay. But when at home we were broken. We were going through a lot of things with my brother, my older brother. I was going through my things too, and it was just a lot. And at no point we didn't have anybody that actually came to our home and try to help us. So growing up with this, I got married very young. I was 16 when I got married. I had my kids. I had Ishmael when I was 17, my older son, and then I had you when I was 20. So I was very young. I started my life very young, and of course I got involved in church again. I was always with the children's ministry, with the youth, but it wasn't until you guys, my kids, started becoming preteens when I started seeing the need. I always saw it because working with kids and with youth in the church, in the ministry, I always saw the need. The teenagers were always struggling. I did my best to be present for a lot of teenagers that were part of my group. But it wasn't until you guys were like teenagers where I started realizing a lot of other things. I remember you guys bringing your friends over, and then I started, like, I guess those were like my triggers to see me a few years back and saying, man, things have not really changed. Even though I'm not in a very religious church anymore, but things have not changed at all. Teenagers still going through stuff. Yes. And until today, I do see the need of teenagers not feeling that they fit in the church. And that was when I guess teens journals started like being, I was giving birth basically to teens journal.
Yeah, because in those years, like when we were growing up, we were finally allowed to like invite our friends over and stuff. And that we always tell our friends, my brother and I always tell our friends, if you ever come to our house, like there will be a day that my mom will sit down with you and like ask you about your life and just encourage you and stuff like that. So I feel like that was like the beginning of like when you were, feeling that like, ministry that, God had prepared for you. And that's when you started becoming basically in labor with the ministry. Yeah, because you would always encourage our friends, and like they were always so like, oh my God, Mrs. Paz, like she's such a great mom, and like she touched my heart and stuff like that. So yeah, so explain a little bit more like what happened after.
Well, that is very true. When I started allowing you guys to have your friends over, because one of the rules in the house was I'd rather have your friends in my house than you guys going to somebody else's friend, and especially the sleepover. But that's another topic, right? But I started seeing the need. I started seeing that, these were teenagers that God was putting in my way. And of course, I was going through a transition as well of understanding the real meaning of being a Christian woman and not only working inside the four walls of a church, but opening myself to other people, reaching out to other people. And that's when
kids that don't know
Right,
Yeah.
right. Because again, I was focused on the kids inside the church, which is great. I think, I honestly think that the time that God allowed me to work with the teenagers, it was a great time. I was able to help a lot of teenagers, but that was not it.
Yeah.
God was pushing me to see the need outside my own box. And that's when I realized, wait, the kids at church have the same needs that the kids that don't go to church. Because, some of your friends were not Christian.
Yeah.
Some of your friends would come over and I would encourage them, give them a word of encouragement. But at the same time, I was looking at them as, this is a soul for God. And they have the same need of the kids in church and the kids outside the church. So the problem is not the church.
Yeah.
The problem is that our perspective when it came to teenagers was so different.
Yeah.
Because we look at them as big adults. We want them to be these perfect kids, and honestly,
and know what they're doing. And,
right.
Yeah.
But they struggle too. They go through a lot of changes. So that was just the beginning of me seeing the real need, that it was not a need just in the church, but word-wise, there was a need. And, that's when I started embracing more the youth. I love the youth, and God, was working in my heart as well to have a heart for them. So
I know there was a point in our life where we were in a church and we weren't really like active, and you saw that the youth were needed someone to be there for them. Specifically this one situation that happened where, in this church, it seemed like all the good jóvenes, or like the good youth, were always sitting in the front, and there was like a group of us that would just sit in the back, and we were close to them, because we grew up together.
Right.
And I remember this one time, one of the leaders came up to us and basically started bullying one of the jóvenes, and we were so stunned because he was yelling at this joven for a little thing. Like, it was literally, I think he was like just chewing gum or something. I don't even remember the situation, but it turned into a huge situation where the kid ended up like feeling really bad and like ended up leaving the church. He was crying, he was having all this like anxiety, and my mom like stood up for us, and she basically confronted that person and told them like, you shouldn't be treating them like this.
Right.
So how did you feel in this moment, like that you saw that this older guy was behaving that way with jóvenes?
Yeah. Well, I always remember something that my mom and my dad used to say when we were teenagers, and the people, because this has always been a problem. It's not just now at time, but it always been a problem. And I remember when we were teenagers, there were people that would come and judge the teenagers. They will judge me, they will judge my brother, they would come to my mom and my dad and say stuff, and without knowing what was happening to us. And one of the things that my mom and my dad would always say was, they're doing this because they don't have any teenagers. Their kids are small, so they don't understand. But once their kids becomes teenager and grow, they will understand, because it's so easy to judge when you don't have any kids. It's so easy to judge when your kids are so small and they're so perfectly, you can tell them what to do and they will do it. But when they start being a teenager, it's not, and it's funny because we call them that they're rebel, and the truth is they're not being rebel. They're going through a change. They're going through a development, which is a normal stage that everyone goes through.
Scientifically, it's normal.
It's normal. It's normal, and we tend to forget that we were there once. We tend to forget, and we want these perfect kids, these perfect teenagers, these perfect youth in our churches. We want them to dress certain way, we want them to act certain way, we want them to sit in certain ways, like we have assigned seats or whatever. So when that incident happened, that was like a trigger to me. It was like, wait, what are you doing? These kids, they even struggle coming to church.
We're lucky that they were even lucky that he was there,
right.
You know, that Hovind was receiving from God
Exactly.
and sitting there.
Yes.
But then a guy comes and just tears that all apart.
Right. And you know, we are so blessed that at least they're in church.
Yeah.
You know, and that was my thing. You know, why are you picking on a kid that is 12, 13, whatever their behavior is? Our behavior as adults should be different towards them, because what are we teaching them? What are we showing them?
Yeah.
You know, who is the older here? You know, and in that sense, it really triggered me. I got very upset, and yes, I stood up for them, and I said, no, this cannot happen, especially in church. Yeah. In the middle of a service.
And it wasn't even the first time that it happened, right. Though. Like you had been observing
exactly.
for months, like
right.
the situation of the church and
yes.
what was going on with these youth,
mm-hmm.
and you decided to stand up for us, which
right. And that was like that was also the reason why, you know, I remember that in those days I had already given birth to Teens Journal. It was something that I had in my heart, and I remember when I presented because that was like, okay, this is the opportunity. Let me have a talk with the leaders. Let me have a talk with the pastors, and I came to them and I said, look, this is the need. Yes, the teenagers need to be involved. They can go to retreats, they can do this, they can do that, but they also need mentors. They need one-on-one. They need support, because they're going through a lot of changes. A lot of these teenagers, they come from broken homes, single mom, single dad, you know, a lot of issues going on in the house. And, you know, we cannot pretend that nothing is happening and they're gonna just act this perfect way inside of church. No, we can't do that. Yeah. So I came up with the idea, you know, I sat down with them, but they didn't. Unfortunately, they didn't approve. They put other obstacles in my way, and you know, my heart was broken. My heart was totally broken, because I was looking at the need. I was seeing what was happening, and then on the other hand, and some of the parents, and that was the thing, that some of the parents of these kids, they were crying out to me and saying, please help us.
Yeah.
Help us. We need help. And I felt against the wall. I was like, okay, but you know, you belong to this church. You're part of this church, and I'm trying to help out, but because I don't come to church every day, or because You're
not a leader.
I'm not a leader with the title inside, I'm not allowed to help. And that really broke. And I understand, please do not misunderstand what I'm talking about, but because I do understand that there has to be order, that there have to be rules, that you do have to follow certain things. But when your heart is there to help, and you're willing to help, even though I live very far away from the church, because we used to travel
45 minutes,
about 45 minutes to an hour, and I was willing to sacrifice that time because my heart was to help these teenagers. But no, I was told no, so that door closed for me. I was broken, but you know, when God somehow, somebody closes a door for you, God has another door open for you. And some of the parents came to me and said, you know what, let's do this. You're willing to help me. Please come to my house and help me. Outside of the activities of church, I need help. Yeah. And that was my opportunity to say, you know what, the mom is asking me. I have to do something. I cannot just let them destroy their life, or let them,
go through this alone.
Right. They needed somebody. So that was my opportunity. And that was just the beginning of Teens Journal.
Yes. And we opened up our first
support group.
Yeah, support group in an area near where the lady lived, or her house actually. She opened up her house, and you know, her kids were very welcoming. They would invite their friends from the neighborhood. It was a broken down neighborhood where there is a whole bunch of youth that didn't know of God and were also going through a lot that they had also gone through. So they would invite their friends, and we would have these support groups. And I remember we would invite special guests to come. We would do fun activities. We would try to, you know, engage with them and with the community, especially, you know. I remember those.
Yes, and you know, one of the things that it was always in my heart, because God was working in my life. If you are able to reach at least one that you touch, you will be touching big generations, because that one person one day will give birth to their families, and they will be able to testify and be able to show their own families, you know, the things that God has done in their life.
And we've definitely seen the growth and results. Like the results of this. You know, we have a very special friend. Maybe one day we can invite her to come and share her testimony. But we are so happy for her, because she grew up in, you know, in a broken home, and she found her way out, and now she's married. She's about to give birth to her baby girl. Like, just a lot of amazing things has happened to her. And, you know, it's been a process, but you know, we planted that seed in her. Like, you planted that seed. You know, you were there for her, and you know, a time where she felt, you know, unwanted. We had open arms, and you know, as Christians, that's what we need to do. We need to spread that love, and we need to have our open arms ready to receive anyone, whether they're Christian or not. You know,
and yes, you know, it's so awesome to see, you know, that at least you were able to help one. But you know, it's still, my heart hurts, because I see it all the time. You know, not too long ago, I was talking to a teenager, and she was telling me that she is feeling the same way. And again, she's in a loving home. You know, they're all Christian, but she has a need, and it breaks my heart, because, you know, the question is, what are we doing as the church? And maybe this message is for parents out there, for leaders out there, that more than being a leader to our youth, let's be mentors. Let's spend quality time one-on-one. You know, yes, the activities inside the church are great. That keeps them busy, that keeps them going. But more than just the activities inside their inside church, there's more going on in the inside of these youth and teenagers, and that was my cry out. That was like the biggest thing for me. And I remember we also opened one Teens Journal in our own home with your friends, you know, because we did the other one on the other city, and then we decided to do one in your home. And I guess the question would be, how did that help you and your friends, you know, when we opened the Teens Journal in our house?
I feel like that definitely planted them that seed of like, oh, okay, I have Mrs. Paz that will listen to me and that will encourage me. And they're still friends of ours that still come to our house and still want to just talk to my mom and just vent to them, because they know that my mom's there for them.
Yes.
So, you know, you've definitely seen like the growth and like, you know, this ministry, this program, we want to help out and like try to reach everybody that's watching. It's not just so that we can just post a video once in a while and stuff like that. Like, no, we are here for you. We want to share our personal experiences, and you know, we want you to share your story and come onto the show, and you know, just know that we are listening and that, you know, you're not alone in this, because it's important.
Yeah, because you know, and the reason why we decided to do, you know, a segment from Breaking Through, because Breaking Through is part of Restoring Families, but Breaking Through is our talk show that I have with my best friend Janice, and basically what we do is we share stories too, but it's more the adult side. It's more the woman's, the man's, a little bit about the ministry, the trials that people go through. But when it comes to Teens Journal, you know, we were praying and we were like, God, you know, we have to do something with the youth as well, you know. And I am so grateful that, you know, God put that in your heart as well, because I know you love the youth too.
Yes.
You know, you have a passion for them as well. So, you know, for me to have you saying, Mom, you know, I'm ready, I can do this, you know, let's do something for the youth, that has been a blessing for me, because yes, I could probably do a Teens Journal, but
it's too much for you.
Well, it's not that it's too much, but I feel like, why not a youth one, reaching out to them, you know, instead of, yes, I guess I'm a little old now. So, you know, the dynamic is a little bit different. You can understand them even better,
especially
I know
this generation.
Yes,
I kind of see like a different perspective. You may not understand, you know, social media, especially the social media thing is one of the topics that I know you will bring a special guest to talk about, the danger of social media and all this thing. So things have changed. Back in my days, we didn't have to worry about cell phone. You know, I didn't have to worry about the youth when it came to cell phone. I mean, you guys didn't have a cell phone until I was
13 or 14. Yeah, you know, and it wasn't even where you had the access to the internet and all these things.
It was a flip phone. Let's get that straightened out. A flip phone.
Exactly, you know, so now we're dealing with more stuff, and I know that you're more updated on that than I am, but you know, I'm always going to be here to support them, because my heart, let me tell you guys, my heart is with you guys. Yes. You know, if you're a teenager, if you're a young one that is struggling and you're inside a church and you're just struggling, you feel like nobody listens to you, you feel like no one is there for you, I know you probably are saying, well, I don't know you, lady. I don't know, Jocelyn, but we are here to pray for you. Yes. If you send us a message and you let us know that you're struggling, whatever it is, you know, one of the things I learned is not to judge. I don't judge because you're having issues with your family, or maybe it's sexuality. I know that's a big thing, you know, with the youth, you know. Maybe you're having sex and you're not supposed to, but you don't know how to break through from that. You know, whatever it is, anger, anxiety, depression, maybe you're having suicidal thoughts. You know, I don't know. Whatever you're going through, let me tell you, you are not alone. We are here to pray for you. We want to pray for you. We want to hear from you. And we want to encourage you and tell you that God has a plan for your life. And you might be saying, what do you mean God has a plan for my life and my life is a mess? It doesn't matter. God takes all the broken pieces. He takes all the broken pieces. One day I will share my testimony, but I was broken in every aspect of my life. I was so broken, and God took all the little pieces of my life, put them together, and He made me whole. And I am so grateful for that. I'm not perfect, because no one is perfect, but I can tell you that my heart is with you, and we want to pray. We want to pray, Jocelyn, for all the teenagers. And I know, because I know that God is going to do great things with this show. And like you were saying, you know, let it not just be another video that we post out there, but this could be a way of outreaching to our youth and our teenagers.
So please feel free to share your story. Contact us, email us. Even if it's just for a prayer, we will take that in consideration and pray for those necessities that you guys need, because we are, you know, people of Christ, and we want to help you guys out. And you know, one prayer can definitely make a difference.
It does. It does make the difference.
Thank you so much, Mom, for sharing that.
You're welcome.
We'll definitely see you back for another episode, so stay tuned for that. And we have many more episodes to come for the new year, so we want to wish you guys a happy new year, a blessed one. Remember that you are not alone, and feel free to share your story, email us, contact us. We'll have that all linked down below. So thank you so much for watching this episode.
Thank you, Jocelyn, and thank you, everyone. You have a wonderful, wonderful new year, and remember that you're not alone. God is with you. Bye-bye.